You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. All right, y'all. Speaking of smart, jumping into the race, Senator Mike Espy has announced that he is going to be challenging the woman who he lost to in 2018 for Cindy Hyde-Smith. Remember, he lost to her, but he says he's going to challenge her again in a rematch in 2020. Here's his announcement.
You know, Mississippi is changing. My great-grandparents were slaves brought to Mississippi from Georgia and Virginia. But their son, my grandfather, Thomas Jefferson Hudson Sr., founded the first hospital for African Americans in Mississippi because he believed that black women should give birth on comfortable beds and on clean sheets instead of in the cotton fields. My grandfather broke barriers, and through his legacy and through his fortitude, decades later, well, I broke a few more. I was the first African American to represent Mississippi in the United States Congress since the Civil War era, and then later, the first and only African American to become Secretary of Agriculture. I'm Mike Espy, and over my lifetime, I've seen a lot of changes in Mississippi, but progress in Mississippi is still too slow. Too many people are hurt because they're looking for work but can't find a decent job, or because the rural hospital that served them is now closed, or they can't find an education that makes them marketable. And we can't continue the change we need if we have a senator who openly laughs about public hangings and makes statements supporting voter suppression. Cindy Hyde-Smith is hurting Mississippi, our progress and our reputation. That's why I'm running for Senate. I want us to meet our potential. I want us to be a state that we all can be proud of. And I've got the experience to help. In Congress, I wrote an economic development bill signed into law by President Reagan. And as the Secretary of Agriculture, I personally negotiated trade treaties that open new markets for our farm commodities. For the last 25 years, I've worked with a nonprofit in Mississippi that has provided loans to people who want to buy their first home or to start a new business. We build hospitals in rural communities, in grocery stores where there are food deserts. We make Mississippi stronger by enabling good ideas to become a reality and helping people to live out their dreams. Now that's the Mississippi I believe in. We came so close in 2018. Join me, and this time we'll do it.
Erica, that last line there, we came so close. Here's the thing that I think we have to understand, and I was in Mississippi when Mike Espy was running against Cindy Hyde-Smith. You look at the totals, he lost by less than 70,000 votes. Mm-hmm. And the reality is there were a significant number of black people and poor whites who are flippable, if you will, mm-hmm. who did not vote. Mm-hmm. Reverend Dr. William Barber has been saying for the longest to Democrats, you're never going to win unless you compete. Yes. You have to go into these places and register them. Yes. You just saw the Democrat win in Kentucky, who beat a Tea Party candidate for governor. Yep. And so there are people out there who say Mike Espy has no shot. Mike Espy has a shot if they're able to get black folks to vote. Their numbers in Mississippi. That way is a shot, Erica.
Absolutely. And again, a message to the Democrats. Register people to vote. When I look at data, and when I'm looking at this man lost by 8 points, one of the things I was just sharing with Dr. Malvo and Dr. Carr is that he never should have stopped running, because now he's got to re-engage the electorate all over again. And so I don't believe that any state is not flippable, because where there are black folks, where there are people of color, that means that we are deep, we have saturated, and all it really calls for is a conversation and engagement and actually registering people. I have been there, I have done the work, and I know that it is possible. But and so to go along with what you shared about with Dr. Barber, this again is why we cannot allow mainstream media. It's important for these type of platforms to really break down and engage people who are hardworking people, folks who are millionaires, folks that are thousandaires, hundredaires, wherever folks sit on the income line, engage and teach on a daily basis, because one vote, there was just a campaign I was reading about, I believe, a New Jersey mayoral campaign that was won by a Democrat by 3 votes. And so if the Democratic Party won't invest in actually registering people to vote, then it is incumbent on us as organizers, as strategists to go out and to do that work, because Mike Espy can absolutely win this Senate race.
He can win it, Roland.
Greg, I'm looking, hold on, I want to give vote total. Hold on, wait. I want to give numbers, because I think it's important for our audience, because Erica said he lost by 8 points. And yes, Cindy Hyde-Smith got 53.9% of the vote. Mike Espy got 46.1% of the vote. But for the people who are watching, there are 1,797 precincts in Mississippi. There were 889,971 votes cast. Mike Espy lost by 68,585 votes. The number, I guarantee you, if you start going through the rolls there and look at the place, because first of all, remember, you know who voted and who didn't based upon the numbers. Yep. You have to be able to do what they did in SNCC and go into those places, go into those rural parts, and you got to be able to go touch those people. Yes. And when I remember there was the Sunday, there was a rally there in Mississippi, and we live streamed it on Roland Unfiltered. And one of Espy's folks gave the preachers there their marching orders when it came to going out and making sure people to vote. Folks, these numbers are not difficult. Right. To be able to say, go find them. The Espy campaign, what they have to do is go touch 100,000 or 120,000 more people who did not vote. And you have the data, Julian and Greg. You go find 120,000 people who did not vote in this runoff and turn them out, because you get the folks who did vote and those folks who didn't vote, he can win.
39% of Mississippi is African American. Mississippi, as they say in Nina Simone's song, Mississippi Goddamn. African American people in Mississippi have to own this race. That's the only way that it's really going to happen, because obviously in the last race, as Erica has said, people stayed away. People were afraid. Cindy Hyde-Smith is the worst kind of white trailer trash, and forgive me, white trailer trash who would go to a lynching. I'd go to a hanging if they invited me. We know what that's about, and lynching is an issue right now in our country. But the bottom line is that you can't do this nationally. The DNC needs to put money into local races, into local people. You can't just have commercials on TV. What you've got to have is people going door to door, knocking doors, having conversations, and grassroots organizations in Mississippi need to get the financial support of the Democratic Party if they want to flip this. It's possible. It's very possible. But what the DNC has done heretofore is this, this sort of helicopter thing, what they did to Stacey Abrams. They didn't come into her until the end. The helicopter thing of like,
but here's the piece though, Greg, and I think what the Espy campaign has to do, and that is, and granted, you have nonpartisan groups who can't play partisan roles, but the reality is this here. There has to be external organizations, not waiting on the DNC, but external organizations who are going to go into these places, who are going to say, between now and November 2020, here's the reality. Cindy Hyde-Smith is going to get the Republican nomination on her side. Espy will get the Democratic side. So the reality is he doesn't have to run a primary race, unlike when he ran in the special election. Right. What has to happen here is that in order for him to win, you're going to have groups who go into Mississippi, who cull through the numbers and say, we're going to touch anywhere from 120 to 150,000 people who did not vote.
No,
What's
you're
going to
right.
happen, it's going to have to, and also what Democrats are going to have to do, and Reverend Barber said this, and we were there in Mississippi when we actually broadcasted right here. They are going to have to learn to go talk to broke-ass white people.
Sure.
Democrats, white Democrats, are going to have to stop being scared of their own folk. They're going to have to go in Mississippi, Greg, and tell broke-ass white folks, y'all don't have rural hospitals. Y'all education is bad. That's the argument. It can't just be Mike Espy, the black candidate. They got to go learn to talk to broke-ass white people.
Well, that's true, Roland, and that is the future of the Democratic Party. If they're going to have a future with coalition politics, you're right, it's fusion politics, as Reverend Barber has said. You know, it's interesting because you've been the only news source consistently to interview the black folks who have gone into these southern states and organized at the grassroots level in this next wave. And I'm thinking now about all the black women, Latosha Brown and so many others, those women who descended upon Alabama and got Doug Jones that Senate seat. At this stage, sitting here, and you're right, Eric, and we were all sitting here talking, and when the ad came on, I heard that twang of the guitar. I said, oh man, here we go. But I think Mike Espy might actually have heard some of the logic that you just laid out. Why? Look at that ad. He starts it in black and white. He runs toward his African American roots in Mississippi. Although I'm tired of this, I'm the children of slaves. You know, you children of Africans who were enslaved.
All
But that's
of us
okay.
were slaves.
That's neither hard. Right. But what I'm thinking is that the longer that video played and then went into black and white, I'm thinking about a daughter of Mississippi who ran in nearby Georgia, Stacey Abrams, who, if you run toward the fact I'm black, I'm not gonna pretend like I'm not. I'm black in Mississippi. It almost began to emerge with the power of what Fannie Lou Hamer and them were arguing with the Mississippi Freedom Democrats. I am black, that ain't gonna change. You may not like me, but you ain't got no teeth and you need a hospital. If you run toward that, the way you're saying, that's the kind of fusion politics William Barber's been pushing in North Carolina and beyond. I'm gonna stop apologizing for being black. I'm gonna step you. So these white folks in the Democratic Party, yes, they need to target the poor whites, but finally I'll say this, with that kind of attitude, in a state that's 3 million people, as you said, almost 1,800 districts, and if you do the math, it's roughly less than 2,000 people per district. A quarter of the people in Mississippi are under the age of 18. Who knows how many of those young people will be voting eligible by 2020? You can not only flip that state, I'd argue that he's more competitive in Mississippi with that strategy than Doug Jones is in Alabama running against Jeff Sessions.
Come on.
Ooh,
Come on.
ooh.
Come on.
And I think that's really powerful,
I agree.
Greg, because
and
what
again, you cannot, right, Greg, run away from who you are.
That's it.
But more importantly, what you have to do is look folks in the eye and say, look, you may not like my skin.
That's right.
But I'm telling you right now, your ass broke and them black folks broke, and both y'all, you know what that means? Both y'all broke.
Yep.
And again,
That's a winning strategy.
The problem in the South has been the Democratic Party's reluctance by saying we're just going to write it off. We got no shot.
That's right.
But you're guaranteed to have no shot if you never go in.
That's right.
That's right.
You know, Roland,
That's right.
Reverend
Simple as
Barber
that.
has been
But
laying
real
up.
quick,
But he's been laying it out about the Southern strategy. And what we've got to deal with is the racism that so many white folks are simmered in, but the economic reality that they have as low wages as black folks do. They have as much access to health care, which means none, as black folks do.
Right.
And so that's a conversation that has to be had.
but again, though, I said this to President Obama directly with his Affordable Care Act. I'm like, stop going to Ohio and Virginia
Right.
and touting the Affordable Care Act. I said, go to the brokest, whitest, poorest, sickest county in Mississippi.
Led by a Republican.
And then go to the same one in Alabama and look them white folks in the
Can't do
eye
that.
and say, I passed
Do it
this
like
bill
that.
for you. At some point, you got to look broke-ass white people in the eye
Yeah.
and say, look, you can vote on abortion if you want to. You can vote on a Second Amendment you want to. But neither one of them going to take care of your wife when she gets sick.
Come on.
But closing your rural hospital and not expanding Medicaid,
Yes.
it will.
Yes.
That's what they got to do. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, it's the holiday season. This is when you think about spending time with family and friends. This is also when you count your blessings and support those less fortunate. This year, be a holiday hero and change someone's life forever. Right now, hundreds of thousands of Americans are sitting in jail without being convicted of a crime. Why? Because they lack the financial resources to pay their bail. Now think about it. If you are arrested for any minor offense, you will be taken directly to jail. If you don't have bail money, you will stay there until a court date is scheduled. That could be days, weeks, or even months. Simply put, America's bail system is broken for people of color. Freedom should be free. That's why the Ebony Foundation has partnered with the Bail Project and is sponsoring the Home by the Holiday campaign. The Bail Project has helped bail out thousands of people over the years, and with your help, they plan to get 1,000 people out of jail by New Year's Day. And that, of course, would be a great holiday gift for many families. A donation from you today can change someone's life tomorrow. Now that you know the people of color represent upwards of 90% of the jail population across the country. Now, without bail, nearly 90% of those charged with misdemeanors pled guilty. Now, however, with paid bail, less than 2% receive the jail sentence. Sometimes justice needs just us. To join the fight, you can donate $25, $50 or more to help the Ebony Foundation bring our brothers and sisters home by the holiday. To donate, go to homebytheholiday.com. That's homebytheholiday.com. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.